Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second day of the 18th annual Transforming the Teaching and Learning Environment virtual conference. I'm Bob Hales. You're stuck with me as the moderator. Um, don't forget that the Journal of Educators Online is our sponsor this year. If you have a chance, go take a look at it. It's got some really good peer-reviewed articles that I think are appropriate for everyone who attends the conference. The address is thejeo.com. So check it out if you would please. Um, our session this morning is OER plus ChatGPT equals smarter, faster, and freer, a practical guide for educators. And I love practical stuff that people can walk away from this conference and be able to try out. So we have with us Dana Tribble and Crystal Ship. And I'll turn it over to you two. You can introduce yourselves and take it away.
Thank you so much. And thank you for this opportunity. And thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. As Bob said, I'm Dana Tribble, and I'm an assistant professor in the Higher Education and Student Affairs Master's Program at Arkansas Tech University, where I also serve as the director of our first year experience courses.
And hello, I'm Crystal Ship. Nice to meet everybody. I am the Director of Early Childhood Education here at Arkansas Tech. I'm also the cheer and dance coach at Arkansas Tech.
Thank you. Okay, we want to just provide some key takeaways. So, what we hope you can gain from our time this morning, some ways that you can integrate OER, some ways that you can streamline your workflow and really enhance content creation with using AI tools such as ChatGPT. And then just increase clarity and model ethical use of using AI. With your assignments, whether it be syllabus, announcements, rubrics, all of the pieces of our teaching puzzle.
So technology, this is one big thing that we all know is here and it's not going away and we love it so much and we love to embrace it. This is just a quote that we want to start our presentation with. Technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. And I want to tell you, so I did the ChatGPT visual image of myself the other day on my social media. And it was so funny how it turned out. I actually can share that, Dana, if you'll let me share real quickly. I have this picture I want to show y'all, and I want to relate it to, here we go. Oops. Let me see here real fast. Give me just a second. I've got so many things opened. All right here. Okay, so this was the ChatGPT picture that I created of myself. And I just wanted to say that this is not replacing me as a person. And if anything, this just highlights my strengths. And I want you to think of this today as our presentation as we're not replacing our teaching. We're using these technology tools to enhance our teaching. So that's just something that I thought, everybody looks at this kind of stuff on social media. And this is just a fun way to get started today. All right, let me stop sharing.
Thank you, Crystal.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, and just my little backstory with AI as a whole. A few years ago, I was very skeptical. I was very much so, this is unethical. We need to avoid this. Students don't need to be engaging. Faculty for sure don't need to be engaging. And I was asked to attend a conference in St. Louis. It was actually May of 2024. So we're coming up on 2 years now. And I was asked by our assistant provost at the time, and the whole entire conference was on AI. It was how to, work more effectively and efficiently through your teaching, service, and scholarship. And in which ways can you use AI to enhance your work in these three different areas? And so after that conference, it really opened my eyes to, okay, this could be a tool. If used correctly, this could be something that could definitely enhance alignment, enhance time management, enhance creativity. And so from that point forward, once the assistant provost was on board, I was like, I'm going to be left behind if I don't learn some of these tools and teach my students to learn or teach my students to use these tools in an ethical way because they're going to use it regardless. And so rather let it be the elephant in the room, I thought, okay, we're going to dive in. We're going to do assignments based on AI. We're going to talk about AI. And so that's kind of what has started Crystal and I's passion to exploring AI and how we can use it in our teaching. So today we'll talk about the why. Okay, so the root behind all of this. Why use AI? Because, faculty have challenges. We all have different challenges in life. And sometimes we can feel very siloed as a faculty member. We're always juggling multiple roles. We're pulled in different directions, and we always have a list of things to do. So if there's something that can kind of help support us, take some time off of our obligations, we were interested. So we will share some of the why with you. We'll talk about what OER is, just for those who maybe aren't familiar, what ChatGPT, finding and using OER plus ChatGPT, ethical use and engagement, strategies for modeling ethical use, and then strategies for using these resources in your teaching, and we'll have some time for questions and answers. So to begin, the why. So the challenge faculty face, and obviously this list is not exhaustive, but here is some of the research that we have we're wanting to highlight. So the heavy workloads and the time pressure. We're balancing multiple roles in our professional world, whether it be teaching, research, service, and that's not even including our personal lives. And that service can be extended beyond the expectation of the institution in your role. You may say, oh, I'm going to go be part of this committee. Well, that committee then turns into bi-weekly or bi-monthly meetings or monthly meetings and additional tasks. So we have a heavy workload, and we are very much responsible for achieving those different areas kind of on our own in some ways. And so this workload and the time pressure can definitely increase emotional labor needs to stress and burnout. The demands for rapid, high quality outputs. Okay, there's a ton of pressure to publish and to present. And the amount of time it takes to come up with that great idea you want to further research on and go through IRB and collect data and analyze data and write that lit review. Same thing with presenting. What is the perfect topic? What is something I can use both in my work life and also, whether it be my teaching life and my scholarship life? What's something that can enhance teaching but also enhance my peers and colleagues' knowledge base? And so we have that pressure. The technology related stress. Okay, when new technology comes out, everybody looks at faculty like we're supposed to know how to use it ethically. And right now we are in a rapid technology movement where we are just trying to hold on tight. I do not know every single AI platform out there, and I'm learning multiples every single month and how we can better use those. But faculty feel always on due to this digital demands. And beyond just the evolution of technology in terms of AI, we always have WebEx Direct Messenger for us at Arkansas Tech going off. We have emails where students will send all hours of the day requesting information or having questions. And so we are constantly engaged in our work. And then the need for accessible, flexible resources. We want efficient, adaptable materials that reduce prep time and support all student needs. And this is where we feel our project, our presentation is really supported. Like, how can we provide something that's free, that's accessible, and that can be considered a resource, a tool for you to use through your professional life? And personalized, you will see when I share my ChatGPT screen with my living room makeovers.
Yes. Okay, so in our chat, if you would just take a second to tell me, like maybe thumbs up, thumbs down, one of those kind of things. What is OER? If you know what OER is, give me a thumbs up in the chat, Or if you don't know what OER is, give me a thumbs down. I always like to poll my audience to see how much information you already know about what is open educational resources. Okay, Heidi, thank you. I'm seeing a thumbs up. Thanks, Jordan. Hey, polling the audience. Okay, thank you, Dr. Richardson. Okay, so let's start with just what is OER. It looks like some of us already know what open educational resources are. And Dana, I am going to share a short video. It just is 2 minutes long, and it tells us a little bit about what is OER. Let me share my screen. Okay, here we go.
At the end of the day, after your course or your degree program have moved to OER, there are several benefits to students. One is you probably took the textbook cost to zero or near zero. The students love that, right? Textbooks are very expensive. In community colleges, it can be up to half of the cost of going to school is the cost of textbooks. And so they will love that you've reduced the costs of their education. That's a big one. Almost more important than that, though, is that the courses are now designed in a way that the faculty want them designed. Because OER has an open license on it, the faculty can modify the content to be exactly what the faculty wants. That tends to get the faculty very excited about the course content. And because the faculty are excited, they're motivated. That gets the students excited, makes them more motivated. Students learn better. The other thing that helps the students, and they recognize, is that when the courses move to OER, a lot of good things happen. Fewer students drop out. Why? Well, because they have all the materials they need to be successful in the course, and the materials were free or very low cost, and the students stay in the course. Because they're not dropping out, more students are completing the course. Because students are completing the course, they're graduating sooner. So the students realize that. And after they've taken a few OER courses, they start to ask their future faculty, hey, wait a minute, I've had 2 or 3 OER courses. Why now am I walking into a course where the textbooks cost $150 or $200? I can't afford that. And if you are going to charge a couple $100 for textbooks in your course, maybe I can't take 3 courses this semester. Maybe I can only afford to take 2. And now my time to degree is being delayed. And you're delaying my life goals and my family goals and my promotion at work. So to students, this is very personal. The other thing that they get excited about is that when not just the content shifts to open, but the pedagogical practices start to shift to open as well. So when you have open content in the course, what faculty start to do is they start to give their students different assignments. So rather than you just coming into my course and learning chemistry, now you're coming into my course, and yes, you're going to learn a bunch of foundational knowledge about chemistry, but one of your assignments is to update chapter 2 in our chemistry textbook. And the reason I can give you that assignment is that we have an open textbook. And so one of your assignments is read these 4 open access articles on the latest and greatest research in chemistry, and now go update with that new knowledge that you have, update our chapter 2 because it's out of date. That's never an assignment that I could give when I was dealing with an all rights reserved, expensive commercial textbook, but I can do it when I'm dealing with OER.
Okay, so let me stop sharing, and then Dana, I'll let you take back over. Stop sharing. All right. So overall, open educational resources is a free way for us to use textbooks in our classroom. And there are several resources out there. Our next slide is actually going to talk about that. Okay, now give me a thumbs up if you know what ChatGPT is. It's an AI tool. I know a lot of us use it for all the things. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thank you so much. Very good. So ChatGPT is an AI tool that helps us generate text. It helps us answer questions, support learning with our students, and also our teaching task. We are going to demonstrate some ways that we use ChatGPT with our courses and OER in just a second with our next slide. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to that next slide. All right, so I'm going to model for you these steps. So first, when I start looking at what am I going to do for this OER? I want to make this free for my students. I want to have this open resource for my students to be able to use. And not only sometimes like a textbook, only cover so much information and I want to go deeper or find something else about the same topic, but I don't want my students to have to buy 2 different textbooks. With OER, I can create 2 to 3 different books and say, hey, in this book, we're going to look at this chapter. And in this book, we're going to look at this chapter. And I'm going to show you some of those examples on my Blackboard shell here at Arkansas Tech. So the first thing I do is I grab my syllabi and I look to see what are my goals for that class. Next, I go to look at OER resources. I listed here 4 different links that are really good to start with whenever you start looking at OER. There's the OER Commons, which is one of the #1 OER hubs of books. Then we've got Pressbooks Directory. Then there's the Open UMN. Then there's the OER Galileo. So again, these are just a few. There are hundreds out there. You can go down a rabbit hole. I do it all the time. I just start veering off and I'm like, whoa, let's get back on track. So yes, it's a lot of fun. And if you're, I'm a teaching expert. That is what I do. I love to teach. And so when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm just a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I love it. And then lastly, after I find that OER text that I'm loving, it's relating to my syllabi, it's relating to my goals of the course, then what I do is I go to ChatGPT, I copy and paste some of the information from the OER text, and then I'm able to create assignments. I can create quizzes, I can create discussion posts, lots of different interviews, like parent interviews. There's one that I'm going to show you in just a second that I do with my class. So before we move on, Dana, I'm going to share my screen with my Blackboard shell and also my syllabi, just so y'all can see it. I'm a visual learner, and so I always like to share what exactly I was talking about. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to share my syllabi. Does everybody see the syllabus? Perfect. Okay, so with this says my course objectives. This course is a human development class for early childhood education. And so that's my background, is the early childhood education. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goals for this class, 7 objectives for this class. And so what I do is I read these and I look to see, okay, what are the students, what do they need to know by the end of this course? They need to differentiate between physical, cognitive, social, emotional language of preschool. Then we go into early childhood. We go into by age 8, and we go into culture and family. Okay, so all those things are great. So then what I do is I look to see what type of OER book could I find that relates to those topics. So now I'm over here in my Blackboard shell, and I created this course last fall. So this one is the freshest one that I've done. So that's why I'm sharing it today. Notice on my Blackboard shell, whenever the students get enrolled in the course, they'll open it up and it'll say, this course will use several OER books. OER means free. You don't have to buy a textbook. So then I download the PDFs for the students. So they have a book 2, which is just child growth and development, book 1, which is ECE 101, and then book 3, the whole child development in early years. So they can click on this, they can download this, and they'll have that PDF for the entire semester. Everything is at the fingertips of the student. And again, it takes me time to research these, but all the goals of my courses are aligned within these textbooks. To start off, I just started with 1 book. And then now that I've become more knowledgeable within the OER, I can find several books. So I would start with 1 and then move into more once you get that. So then what does it look like? So when I open up the textbook, so for example, here is one called Individual and Family Development, Health and Wellbeing. Okay, so this would be from the OER website. And then to look at the book, you simply scroll down to where it says contents, and then it tells you a little bit about the book. So you have the introduction, the theories that are covered in this book, the research, the prenatal development, infancy, early childhood. Okay, you can see here. Then I simply download the book, so the PDF, to my computer, and then I can simply save this as a tool for me to use when I'm researching and finding those goals. Now, how do I connect it to ChatGPT? That's the next step. So now that I have saved it, I can simply copy and paste. I can upload. I can ask questions. This is where things get fun. So I'll model for you when I get to my ChatGPT, my Zoom is kind of in the way. Okay. And you know how Dana was saying, you might see all the things that I do on the side. Oh, I use ChatGPT for making crock pot beans. Okay. So, I use it for everything, but I definitely use it for my teaching. So let's say I want to summarize this chapter from this textbook. Okay. And then I can simply click this plus button and I can add that file for just that chapter and it can summarize it for me. Maybe I want to say generate some questions from this chapter within the PDF. I might say create a discussion within this chapter. So going back to my syllabi, once I finish creating those assignments, now I can link it and I can say, okay, for module 2, I wanted you to do an interview on pregnancy and birth experience discussion. I want you to do a discussion on cultural perspectives of child development. Okay, these are not assignments that I grabbed from a textbook. These are all ones that I created from artificial intelligence that dives deeper and engages my students more versus just a simple question and answer type assignment. So that is how I use ChatGPT and OER in my classroom. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'll let Dana, you take over on the next part. Oh, wait, actually, I'm next. I'm sorry. My bad. So this is where we are going to actually practice this together. Okay, so the sit get is fabulous, but we are interactive. Dana and I love for our participants to be involved with us. So let's go ahead. Dana, if you don't care to share slide number 9, and that way I can give everybody what we would like for them to try to do. Okay, so what I want you to do is let's copy and paste. I've got it right here. I'm going to copy and paste this link, this HTTPS IA State Press Books, and I'm putting that in the chat right now. I want you to click on that, save it as a PDF, and then let's go ahead and see this course objective called Describe the Physical, Cognitive, and Psychosocial Development of Early Adolescence. I want you to copy and paste that objective into ChatGPT and create an assignment using the OER text, which I think the OER text is in chapter, let me pull that up real fast on my, Dana, you don't have to share it. I'm just going to pull it up for everybody. This is going to be like when you pull it up on the PDF, you can click the little tab button on the right side and it'll tell you, you'll go to early adulthood or early adolescence. That's it. And you'll go to cognitive development in early adulthood, physical development in early adulthood, and you'll click on those. And that's what you can save and upload to the ChatGPT.
Do you want to throw it in the chat?
Yeah, sure. I can do that.
Thank
Give me
you.
just a second. So, Dana, if you want to add anything while I'm doing that, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the strategies that we use regularly. I am responsible for the first year experience course, which is a unique role in terms of I have graduate faculty status, so I don't teach the courses, but I'm responsible for curriculum and assessment and hiring and training of those courses. So I've created, I found an OER book that I use and it aligns with my course objectives that I've created, and I tweak minorly year after year to make sure it's still alignment with institutional goals and meets who our students are. But then using some of those objectives to really bulk up some of my assignments or create better alignment with my course objectives and how many assignments are in line with which objectives, or maybe where I have some misalignments may happen, or sometimes where I've more heavy on maybe the sense of belonging, but need more on personal accountability. I love using ChatGPT to create that visual for me because it can literally create a table that provides alignment with what assignments align with what specific learning outcome. And while you're doing that, so that's one way we can use it on more of a higher level. And then when you're really, wanting to create quizzes maybe in Blackboard, and maybe like we're doing right now, you don't need the entire chapter to be the focal point for that specific class. Maybe you just want it to a very uh, surface level understanding of a specific topic or area. You can come up with your quiz questions, or you can help ChatGPT can help you create some of those quiz questions. And just making sure, again, okay, based on that paragraph or that summary you just shared, here are the questions that meet each specific statement in that summary. And then once you've, used it to help build assignments, now I want to make sure I'm fair in my grading practices. So could you help create a rubric that's in alignment with that specific assignment I'm using in my course? Um, it's just very fun to have it help expand on your own creativity. Like you may think you have a really great idea and you're walking through it and asking questions, prompts based on like, okay, what questions may a first year student have that maybe, for example, our institution is in a rural area with a very low socioeconomic status. So I always make sure I plug some of those prompts in there. So maybe there's some questions that I specifically didn't think of, but maybe an 18 to 21-year-old student may have, to making sure my instructions and my directions are clear and that my assignment, they understand the why behind every assignment and quiz, and that they can see that alignment with the overall course goal.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're
So I
welcome.
dropped it in the chat, just the link that shows exactly what chapter that was in. And then again, the task that you're supposed to be working on would just be simply to copy and paste that into ChatGPT, that chapter, and then some sort of assignment, discussion prompt, something that could go back to that goal for the class, that course objective. So would anybody like to share? You don't have to, but if you found something really cool that you want to share out, or maybe even the next slide that says, how could this help your own teaching? Maybe you already do something similar, and we just wanted to allow y'all some time to share out.
And I can, if we don't have anyone who was wanting to chat, I do have a little prompt up that I can kind of walk through so you have a visual as
Yeah,
well.
let's do that.
Okay. Can you see my little ChatGPT, Crystal?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So here may be an example of exactly what Crystal was talking about, not necessarily the early childhood content, but I'll go ahead and use my first year experience content. So, I teach first year experience courses at a 4-year public college. We can call it institution. My students are first gen. Oh, you'll see my lack of typing skills right now.
Hey, it's early.
That's right. And so then I always want to make sure that I also incorporate one of my objectives that I'm primarily focusing on building an assignment for or brainstorming with ChatGPT about. So I have this specific assignment that I've already created that meets my objective of engaging with campus personnel resources and organizations to enhance a sense of belonging. The assignment asks students to attend 3 on-campus events and reflect on their experiences. As we know through theories and research, that involvement is critical. Built on Aston's involvement theory, we know that students need to be involved to persist and be retained and to reach graduation. That's the work behind our first year experience as a retention initiative. So being connected enhances a sense of belonging. So if our students are aware of campus events and aware of how to find campus events, where specific events are located, then they become knowledgeable of the campus. They become knowledgeable of those who put on the events. And so it's a very important piece of our course. However, we're running into a little bit of a struggle lately where we're having more and more online students, and some of these students may not be on campus, or they may be students who are working full time, have families, and they will reach out very stressed, like, please don't make me complete this assignment because I don't have an ounce of time left. And so I can totally relate, but I still want them to receive some sort of connect and build some sort of connection, build some sort of relationship. And so this may be like, okay, I'm a little bit stuck. What do I do? So I've put in there, kind of what the assignment is. I've included more online students with multiple roles. What are some comparable assignments that will still meet my course objective? I also want to include in here, working families may not live near the institution. And let's just see what it gives us. So here are some options that totally can just get your brain kind of thinking in a different direction, right? So you can have 3 structured interactions. Maybe that's done through Zoom or a phone call, or maybe you're able to come to campus and complete that task in person. Really just emphasizing belonging from a distance, some resource engagement. Engage deeply with 3 resources. Maybe we have some virtual workshop or some recorded campus event. Or in the past, we've also shared with them a YouTube video where you're learning more about maybe career services and they're to reflect on that content. It even provides you here with some reflection prompts. Maybe there's a way for student organizations to work in your class or through your class asynchronously. So you have an LMS platform, and maybe you can go ahead and include some student organization information that way. And the student can go ahead and decide what speaks to them, what they're most interested in, and then they can learn more about that specific information. It goes on and on. Peer belonging micro communities. This could be something where students engage with those that they live by, right? They can get in groups. They can come up with a support. The list goes on and on and on. So then you're going to stop and really think, okay, what meets my students? What's something that I feel, okay, I can handle this, the student can handle this, and you can kind of pick pieces of it, pull it together to create an assignment. In the past, this would have taken me days, weeks of stopping and thinking and brainstorming and reaching out to colleagues like, what do you think about this? Where am I lacking understanding or knowledge or information? And so using ChatGPT as a brainstorm tool has been very, very helpful.
And real quick, Royal put in the chat an example of the standard that was given, and then some assignments and also a rubric. So when y'all have a chance, click on that packet of the assignment, and that way you can see that task. So that's awesome. Thank you so much.
I love that. Okay. And so say, okay, I don't encourage just going ahead, but for the sake of time, you can just copy this for now and putting it in here. I like to really pick apart pieces of the different options that I like and build something of my own. But maybe I'm just going to go with option 1 for the sake of demonstration. Please create a rubric. Please create a rubric for this specific assignment. And a lot of our LMS as of this year platforms actually have an AI capability to create rubrics, which is very, very helpful as well. But before, specifically at our institution, that was an option. I really enjoyed, having a breakdown of something to look at. Okay, is each role met? But go ahead and it builds a beautiful little rubric for you. And you can even ask it to build it in a table, and it will provide a table that you can download. And so again, that right there would have taken a lot of time to work through, busy task, busy work of getting all of that created. And so being able to go ahead and use ChatGPT for some of these tasks have been very helpful.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop our next form that we're going to have you complete in the chat. So Dana's going to talk to you a little bit about the ethical use, and I'm going to go ahead and drop that in so she can switch over.
Yes, so we're just going to take, Crystal put that document in there. So if you would just take a minute and we'll kind of pause to complete that form for us, we would greatly appreciate it. It's just a very short poll with different AI scenarios. And as you're reviewing that, if you would kind of look through and decide if there's something that really sticks out, if you have a question on or something you'd want to bring up in discussion, we would also appreciate that.
And we have been asked to finish at 9:50 so that our participants can move from room to room for the next session. So we have about 13 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Are you seeing some responses come in, Crystal?
Mm-hmm.
Any consistency across the responses?
Yes, I think we can talk a little bit about the ethical use.
Okay, well, we just wanted to really get your brain focused on some different scenarios that may come up and probably have already come up as you are teaching, and this big elephant in the room of AI is definitely present and in the hands of not only us faculty, but also in the hands of our students. So there isn't a exact, there aren't correct answers necessarily. It will probably depend on your policy, your guidance, your institution's policies, how you're using it, and how you've educated your students to use it. And that's kind of the point behind that little form we created. So some just tips or strategies for modeling ethical use of AI. In our experiences, we believe always be transparent. Always note when how AI tools were used, whether in a slide deck, a paper, an email. In course materials, you can say things like, this assignment prompt was drafted with the assistance of ChatGPT and edited by your instructor. It also eases some of the pressure of, do they know I'm using it? Do they know it exists? If you're able to stop and really talk with them and show them you're using it and then showing them how you're using it and that you're being an example of transparency. Clarify purpose. Reinforce that AI is a tool for thinking, not a substitute for learning. So it really helps students and faculty understand when it's okay to use ChatGPT for brainstorming, revising, outlining, creating an alignment, when it's not okay. Copying specific discussion board prompts into ChatGPT and copying and pasting that response directly into your LMS discussion board. Doing the same thing for a paper and copying that paper directly into your assignment bank or assignment submission. Bypassing engagement. If you're asked to engage with colleagues or peers and you decide I'm not going to do so, and you go ahead and again copy that prompt into ChatGPT and use that response as your submission. A lot of the LMSs also have in the discussion board a chat bot, which has been very interesting to learn about, where students can create a sense of engagement, or faculty can create a sense of engagement for their students using prompts and an understanding of the knowledge with the prompts created for a chat bot to communicate with the students in class. Include AI use policies in your syllabus. That's kind of a hot topic at our institution. We've had them for probably a year and a half. but we're revising those, and is there going to be consequences for those who are using it simply as a copy and paste? Um, Being able to differentiate when it's allowed or encouraged and when it's prohibited, making sure that any material is properly cited. Offer guided practice. Have assignment initiatives in your class where you can guide them and walk them through how to use ChatGPT responsibly. Use it to summarize articles or books, then compare summaries from yours and those in the class. Determine accuracy. What's accurate, what's not accurate. Another great example of this would be the reference list that they'll provide. Some may not even be of existence. And so, knowing that this is not an error-proof system. Teach prompt crafting, better questions, better answers. The more we ask and discuss with the system, the platform, the better the better their contribution will be. Use polls and reflection to build judgment, kind of like the form we shared with you all today. Why might this be problematic? What's a better alternative? Would it be okay if a faculty member did X, Y, and Z? Just providing scenarios and really getting them to think from different lenses about something like AI and the ethics behind it. Acknowledge nuance. Not everything is black and white. Some uses like idea generation live in kind of a gray area, but model ethical reasoning by thinking aloud. I use ChatGPT to generate questions, but I rewrote them and I cited the tool because the integrity of my teaching still matters. And my expertise and my education still supports my pedagogy. Celebrate learning, not just output. So build assessments that reward process. Have more of that drafting, reflecting, revising instead of just product. So there's less incentive to outsource thinking if you're answering a true and false question or versus reflecting on an experience you've had. So that maybe is moving some of the assignments in more of that reflecting, drafting, and revising versus an output or process approach. So some strategies for smarter, faster, and for your teaching, start with OER. It's great for our rural, low socioeconomic status students because it provides them with an educational tool that they can use free of cost. And then, using that ChatGPT with that OER resource, it helps create a streamlined course design. We can use it to draft syllabi or weekly outlines, generate discussion boards, quiz questions, summarize readings or research articles, create formative templates for feedback, automate the repetitive. So batch grade with AI, use with discretion. That's an option in our LMS platform currently. Create reusable announcements, templates, or rubrics. Use ChatGPT to write email drafts or reminders. Some of these administrative tasks that are redundant, you can replace with some of that ChatGPT so you can spend more time on that personal connection and creating a relationship with each and every single one of your students. Enhance student engagement, co-create assignments with students using OER and ChatGPT, just like we did with you all today. Encourage ethical use, making sure that they're stating this is AI assisted versus AI replaced work. And then design reflection activities around AI usage. I've had students work on assignments using AI in the class, and then we were able to kind of pick through, okay, where's the accuracy in this and where is this incorrect? And so you need to be able the student needs to be able to understand they need to know the content well enough to differentiate, is this correct or is this not? So it really just frees up some time for more meaningful work. Let OER and AI handle the heavy lifting of content delivery, so to speak. So you can spend more time on mentoring, feedback, and innovation. Save time to explore scholarship or faculty development, something that we feel like always gets put on the back burner. Also, we were going to provide a little example, but we're kind of out of time. You ever written instructions for a student that you thought were just a slam dunk, and then you get email after email of questions regarding the assignment instructions? I do. I have. So I like to use it also as a way that we can create more clearer instructions for an assignment that I have in my courses. And we will skip over this example for now so we can have time for some questions. So just some recap and our takeaways. Personalize and adapt OER with ease. Let that be something that's not intimidating to you, as you've experienced, and some of you have really jumped right in with our little demos today, and we appreciate that. Let it be used as something that helps streamline workflow and feedback. And then use it as a tool to improve clarity and alignment. So what is one thing you will try after this session?
And I will say, Dana, that there's been some chats going on and it's been entertaining. I love it. Jordan stated something. Jordan, if you don't care to turn on your microphone and share that out, I don't know if everybody's looking at the chat. And then also Paula mentioned something really cool. So I'm not trying to call y'all out, but if y'all would like to share that, that would be awesome, especially for those that are watching the recording.
Hi, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you.
Hi, sure, certainly. Yeah, so I just put in the chat. So I have probably for the past 2 semesters or so used ChatGPT to kind of upgrade my asynchronous online courses. And one of the things that I use in ChatGPT is the full project folder feature. And so for each course, I create a new project. And one of the things about the projects folders is that you can include instructions in there for each class in each folder. So I'll include in there the course description, the course objectives, and instructions on creating a quiz. So I'll say create 10 to 15 quiz questions that are hard and simple. Find the chapter or the page that corresponds with it, so I can confirm that the answers are correct, because sometimes we know AI can make mistakes. So it's a way for me to self-check that what the output is correct. And then even when it comes to discussion for prompts, I'll say, provide me with 3 to 5 questions, and then also provide prompts for peer responses. So I'll put all those instructions in the project folder. So that way, when I say, here's chapter 12, upload the PDF, here's the content, follow the instructions, it'll give me all of that stuff in one little prompt, as opposed to saying, okay, now give me quiz for this, give me discussion prompts for this. So it just makes it a little bit more efficient, and time kind of just takes advantage of time when I'm kind of refreshed some of these things. So hopefully that helps for some folks.
Yes, thank you so
That
much.
was awesome.
Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.
Sure.
And Paula, did you want to share?
And any
Oh,
questions?
can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm here. This is Paula. I actually my dissertation I did in the early 2000s was on embedding material into textbooks and testing to see if students learned better or worse or whatever. So I also worked with a magazine doing this in digital delivery in the early 2000s. So Google is now doing the same thing where you can create your own textbooks, embed all the learning materials in the textbooks, in the material, and it's all in one place, and you can personalize it as well to allow the kids to, or students to figure that out. It's just started. They launched it about 3 months ago, but it's something to take a look at. You can upload your PDFs and try it yourself. So I really encourage trying it out because it's going to personalize learning in a whole new way.
Thank you so much, Paula.
Yes, thank you so much.
Any other questions, as we have about a minute left? Well, we have our contact information up here if anybody wants to further discuss OER, AI. We're passionate about these topics. We find it's very efficient and effective if used properly. And we just want to thank you all so much for being here today. We have enjoyed this engagement. We appreciate your feedback.
Hey, Crystal and Dana, thank you so much. Boy, it's a lot of good stuff to process and try out. So really appreciate it. I'm going to stop the recording.